Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. Before I get started on today's episode, just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. If you guys are enjoying the content, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. So for this episode, I just want to talk about a Bleacher Report article that came out. Erik Spoelstra has come out saying we want Jimmy Butler to stay with the Miami Heat amid trade rumors that we've been hearing for the past few weeks. So we know there's been rumors, speculation that the Miami Heat could be shopping Jimmy Butler, and well, less them shopping, it's just listening to calls because Jimmy Butler potentially, before the news we received yesterday, was open to going to 4 different destinations if he was to be traded, if he was going to request a trade, if the Miami Heat were shopping him or whatever it may be. But yesterday there was an article came out and that said Jimmy prefers to be traded. He's not requesting a trade or demanding a trade. Miami's not trying to trade him, and that's evident now with this new report. But there was an article from Shams that said Jimmy prefers to go to a different team and to a contender. And there was other information that came out saying that Jimmy was upset with Pat Riley talking crap on him, basically telling him to shut up and shut his mouth when he was interviewed last summer, saying that he would have busted Boston's ass or New York's ass if he was playing. And so I guess there's been some turmoil behind the scenes with Jimmy and Pat. But either way, head coach Erik Spoelstra made his stance clear that he wants to keep Jimmy on this team, and he's hoping that his voice rises above the outside chatter. They want to show and prove that they want Jimmy Butler on this roster. So basically, Spo was saying to Ira Winderman, that's just the deal. You have to compartmentalize this type of information in this business. We want Jimmy here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it's just unfortunate that you have to control or deal with a lot of noise on the outside. There's a ton of noise, and I don't know. Is Jimmy actually disgruntled? Is Jimmy going to request a trade? That's going to be the big information in the upcoming weeks. There's about 5 or 6 weeks until the NBA trade deadline in February. And once Jimmy Butler says, I want to trade, then the Miami Heat have to do that. And it won't be the worst thing necessarily for the Miami Heat's future. It's going to be a bad thing for this season and maybe next season because we know the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler are not as good. This season alone, they're 3-4 without Jimmy Butler. We saw what happened in the playoffs last season when Jimmy Butler got hurt in the play-in against the Philadelphia 76ers, hurt his knee, missed the playoffs. I mean, obviously the Miami Heat played against the number 1 seed, the Celtics, who were a juggernaut, who were number 1 in offense, number 2 in defense of rating last year. Even though they had a cakewalk to the finals, they were still the best team. And we won one game, which was a fluke where he had like an NBA franchise record for making like 25 threes in a playoff game. But yes, Terry Rozier was not playing last year, but who cares now? Look how crappy he is. Duncan Robinson was hurt and compromised, but he still played. But look, that team faltered without Jimmy Butler. So I want Jimmy Butler on this team still, even though it doesn't seem like this team is a contending team, but still, this is my favorite team. I make content every day on the Miami Heat. I want to root for this team. I'm going to root for this team no matter what. Even if they're crappy, I'm still going to make content. But yeah, they're not a great team. So this might not be the worst case scenario for the Heat or for Jimmy, because Jimmy wants to win a championship before he retires. He might not be able to do that here. The best places that he could do that possibly are not the Suns. I don't think the Suns would win with him. Maybe, who knows? But I think the Warriors probably have a good chance depending on what they give up. Dallas, but I don't think they have enough pieces they can give Miami. But Jimmy deserves a championship, and this could be a soft reset for the Miami Heat. You still have Jimmy, or you still have Tyler, you still have Bam you could build around. You still have Jovic, you still have Kalel, you still have Jaime and a young group and core. And Bam's an all-star. Tyler's going to be an all-star this season. Then if you trade Jimmy Butler, you can get some draft capital, expiring contracts, or an up-and-coming player like a Kuminga or a Jabari Smith or whoever it may be. It better not be Bradley Beal from the Suns, because that would be the worst trade ever. And this front office would be officially cooked if they accepted that. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few days, but it makes sense that the Miami Heat do want to keep him. And I mean, they always say we have enough. Let's run it back. That's been the mantra if we're healthy. And we've been pretty healthy to a certain degree. And, especially with Tyler Hero, he hasn't missed a single game. I don't think Bam has missed a single game either. Jimmy's missed 7, but we knew he was going to play like 55, 65 games anyway. So it doesn't seem like this team can contend or compete or beat any of these types of teams in the East or the West that are top teams, like the Cavs or the Celtics or the Thunder or whoever. But you never know with this team. I'm delusional to a certain degree. I'm biased to a certain degree. But I'm also going to talk shit on this team and criticize and critique and be open and honest, and praise and give them credit when credit is due. And right now, they're just a mediocre team right now, especially after last week, those 3 horrible losses, losing to the Magic up 25 when they have 3 of their best players out. And then they lose Mo Wagner and Wendell Carter Jr. in that game also. So like 5 huge pieces out and you still lose. And then losing to the Magic in overtime, blowing an 8-point lead with like 2 minutes left. There's so much bad that this team has gone through. Like a good team finds ways to win, a bad team finds ways to lose. They're doing both basically. So I think they're a mediocre average team. So maybe it is in the best interest to, even if Jimmy doesn't request a trade or demand a trade, if he prefers one, maybe you get something versus where he walks away for nothing. Because if he prefers a trade and he's not going to pick up his option as a free agent next season, then why would he re-sign with the Miami Heat for less money? He's probably going to test the open market, see what contender can offer him, like a 3-year deal at like $35 million per year or whatever it may be. There's not many teams that have cap space out there except for the Nets. If he wants to get 50, 60 million, he has to go to the Nets, but that wouldn't make sense if he wants to compete. He said he wants to go to a contender. That's why he wants to go to the Suns, hypothetically, Warriors, Rockets, Mavericks. So it might be time. The writing is on the wall. There's all this noise. There's all this smoke. So maybe you see what offers are out there and you don't take a shitty offer and take on bad contracts or bad pieces for Jimmy Butler, when you could go the route the Clippers did with Paul George, is just let him walk. So if he actually does want to walk, if he prefers a trade and he's not going to throw a fit and be disruptive, then maybe you just keep him on. Maybe Jimmy sits out and gets injured if he stays past the trade deadline, misses 20, 30 games, so he could stay healthy for next season. The Heat lose more games. We get a better draft pick. Maybe we keep our draft pick because we owe the Thunder a draft pick unless we get a lottery pick. And so if we make the playoffs, we lose that first round pick in 2025, I believe, or 2026, one or the other. Maybe it's not a bad thing that, if we don't get a good enough trade package, if it's horseshit package, then we just let him walk. And then we have 50 million off the books, 52 million off the books next season. And that can give us the ability to build around Tyler and Bam Adebayo and bring in versatile pieces, bigs that have functional size, that can rebound, that can play defense, guys that can hit the 3. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen, man. This is all not fun, but hey, at least there's something to report on right now while the Miami Heat are just 14-13, middle of the pack, mediocre. But anyway, that's all I have for today. The Miami Heat don't want to trade Jimmy Butler. Erik Spoelstra wants to keep Jimmy Butler. What does Jimmy Butler want to do? What does his agent want to do? The ball is kind of in their court to a certain degree, but the Miami Heat also have no urgency and no reason to trade him right now at this point unless they get a good offer. So nothing new on that end. But yeah, the Miami Heat want to keep Jimmy Butler apparently.